Hi guys, this is Dan from the YouTube channel The Gnarly Chicken. I'm without my buddy Steve today, but I wanted to come on and do an introductory video on one aspect of this channel that we started. The Gnarly Chicken, which we love the name by the way, is basically a video channel on dirt bikes, everything dirt bikes, maintenance, rebuilds, driving, different techniques, just anything and everything dirt bikes that we can think of. We just have a passion for it. We've got a nice garage here we can work out of, and we've all the tools and luxuries of a nice shop. So one of the aspects of this channel is adventure riding. I sort of get into adventure riding years ago after I got out of street riding and into dirt bikes, and then I got more into adventure riding. Not as much as some, but I got a flavor for it. This particular bike is a 13 KTM EXC 500, which I got, I think this is my 5th year for it. When I first bought it, I thought this was going to be the last dirt bike hopefully I'll ever have to buy, because it's a do-everything bike. And it is. Yes, it's arguable that there are other bikes that will do other things, and I do agree. But an all-round do-everything bike, if you only could have one, this would definitely be one of the few that I would have. A DRZ 400S would be another one, or perhaps a DR 650 Suzuki. But as it is, I love my KTM, and I've done a lot of things to it over the last few years to really make it an adventure bike. So I wanted to go over that today. And for any of you who might be thinking of making, whether it's a 500 KTM EXC or XCW or any other bike into an adventure bike, I wanted to touch on what I've done to make it suitable for me. Now, I'm 6'3", 230 pounds, so I needed first and foremost a few essential items. One being the suspension. So I immediately upgraded from the stock fork rates, spring rates, and the rear spring rate to, I believe, a 4.9 in the front, and I think the rear is a 5.7. I'd have to double check. But it's suitable for my weight, which is 230 pounds plus gear. So I'm talking probably 250 pounds total. The other things that I've done to this bike, from just sitting where you're at right now and can see, I added the flex bars. The flex bars have an advantage and disadvantage. Number one, they are heavy, and they're noticeably heavy. So if you're not looking to adding much more weight to your bike, don't put them on. The advantage to them is they add a great extra component of front end suspension give and play to your wrists and to your elbows and shoulders. They do work that way. I've got them on the softest elastomers, and they do make a difference compared to the stock as far as give on bumps. I've got the pillow top grips. Love these grips. I've used them for years. Cycler handguards, in my opinion, are some of the best, most robust, strongest bars, and I have tested them just recently, as a matter of fact. Tested them hard on a rock and a cliff, and they held up very well. The last set that I had on this particular bike were not the Cyclers. They were the ones that came on it stock. I had a tumble in a rock field, not going very fast, but enough to completely disintegrate my clutch lever in half and my perch in half. We had to do some pretty magical surgery with an Allen key and duct tape to get me out of the woods. So I went and changed those and went back to what I should have put on the bike originally, which are these guards, which again, in my opinion, are some of the best. I've got a big tank on this. Now I've got an even bigger tank up in the loft. I've got a 20-liter Acerbis that I put on for our big trip we did to Newfoundland last year, which is about 2,300 kilometers. This is a 3.2 gallon, I believe is 11.5 liters in metric. I also have the stock 9.5 liter tank up on the shelf, but I've kept this on for the majority of the time I've had this bike, and it's got a great range. But the 20-liter tank for off-roading as far as adventure riding and long distance, is a must if you don't want to carry extra fuel for sure. This bike gave me, I believe last year when I did the mileage test, 4.9 liters per 100 kilometers, which I believe was around 50 miles to the gallon. It's a fuel sipper, these bikes. But I had a range of about 450 kilometers, I believe, with that 20-liter tank. I'd have to do the math again, but I didn't want to have to carry extra fuel with me, so I ended up going with the bigger tank. But again, this will still get you probably enough range to get in between fuel stops, depending on where you are, especially over the stock tank. I have rad guards on the front. These are made by KTM. A few of the major things that I believe you have to have on any bike, whether it's an adventure bike or a dirt bike: handguards, rad guards, and a very good bash plate. Now, going down to the bash plate on this, I was using the stock plastic quick release KTM bash guard on this for years, and it served me very well. But I wanted a little more extra added wraparound protection with this Enduro Engineering Extreme bash plate, which I ended up putting on. And as you can see from this side, it does cover a lot of the ignition, and it also covers a lot and most of the water pump, if you can see that. I put a cover over the clutch plate just for added protection in case the foot brake decides to stab that. As you can see, I put the Hammerhead foot pedal on here, the bigger size foot pedal. I've got the Fastway Evo pegs. I believe they're called the Evo pegs, yeah. This is my 4th year now running with these, and they're just a wider set down lower and set back farther peg with a much bigger platform than the stock foot peg. And the stock foot peg is actually quite good. These are that much better. And it gives you a little more cockpit space room when you're 6'3" and above, like I am. I opted to go with the Seats Concept seat. Now, I probably could have gotten away with the stock seat, but I'm glad I changed it because although the stock seat is fairly good on these bikes, on the KTM, not saying they are on the Husky, but on this particular model 13 KTM, the stock seat is decent. This Seat Concept seat is that much nicer. Very nice, comfortable seat. Now, moving around over here, I'm not going over a lot of what I did, but most of the things that I've done that are important as far as I was concerned. Down here, we've got the TM Design Works chain slides and guards. Highly recommend these. I've been using these for years, and they're just really beefy, robust plastic material that will last a long time. Hammerhead shifter to match the foot brake. Enduro Engineering case protector. Not necessarily needed as far as the Enduro Engineering, but I like it because it's a nice looking and very protective and easily installed, and I've been using them for years. Now, there are other ones you can use, but regardless, use a case saver. I have seen guys snap their chain and come around and bust their cases, and your day is done. Now, a very important thing that I want to stress with a KTM or Husky, 4-stroke. Inside here, you can probably see the silhouette of the fuel pump. KTM recommends changing your fuel pump filter every 20 hours, and I highly agree. I changed mine a couple years ago after a buddy of mine lost his fuel pump in the middle of the Maine woods after 70 hours. His fuel pump died. His fuel pump died because his filter was stressed far beyond the limits of where it should have been. It was so dirty and disgusting that it finally, the fuel pump failed, and then he was done. that prompted me to take mine out and have a look at it, and it was filthy after only, I think, 45 hours I had on mine. So I changed it. I changed the little inline filter, which is easy to do on this quick disconnect every time. So guys, girls, who's ever running the KTM or Husky 4-strokes, look at least, and change out your fuel filters for the minimum amount of work that it takes. It will save your day. And again, every 20 to 30 hours, I would recommend. The gearing on this particular bike came 1545. I changed it to 1350 when I got the bike. And for my off-road adventure riding, I went to a, what did I go to? A 14.